So, he is now a Super Bowl champion quarterback, Jalen Hurts. What did he prove in the Super Bowl win, Keyshawn?
Well, one, he's for real. So all the naysayers, the doubters and whatnot can kind of just go high. But the interesting thing about this sort of stuff, it's like anything, right, Michael? When people are saying things, doubting you, putting things out in the universe, they will go high. They ain't none gonna come back and say, I made a mistake, I apologize, he can do these sort of, they're just not gonna do it. They're not gonna step up and do it. And he's probably not expecting that anyway. He's the only guy in this class of quarterbacks when he came out of school to win a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow beat Patrick Mahomes, but he didn't win the Super Bowl.
Right.
He's been to the Super Bowl twice.
Yeah.
It could have been the MVP twice if it wasn't for just a little mishap, okay, in that game. And then obviously the referees played a little part in it. He's a leader. He's shown that he's a champion. People follow. All of those things. And then when you think about what he said right there, he's pursuing his own greatness instead of pursuing what other people say he should be chasing.
Right.
And that to me, like when I heard that, when Aaron Andrews was interviewing him and I heard that stuck. And I told Nick, I said, man, pull that for me. Because that's reality. You hear all these naysayers, they want you to be something that they think you should be.
Right.
Instead of what you want to be and how you want to approach it and move forward and do the things that he was capable of doing. Which is, I've been here before. I know the mistakes in the game that I made before. I'm not going to, you know what? He's not open. I'm not holding the ball. They're not going to sack me. I'm pulling it down. I'm going.
Yeah.
Because I can do this. And so when you look at that, and my recipe is great, and I'm going to get off of it real quick. 17 to 22, 221 yards and 2 touchdowns. Okay? In a 1-yard plunge, as I always say, that's all I need my quarterback to do. I need Saquon Barkley to get the attempts. He got 25. I don't need him to get the yards. And when the one-on-one coverages came, Jalen Hurts hit it when many people wanted to see him do the same exact thing that he did against Washington in the NFC Championship game. I mean, I'm happy for him. I really am. I'm so happy for him, man. I was jumping for joy. That's all, because I was jumping for joy for him.
Yeah, and for me, Jalen Hurts has always been a great leader and played a great quarterback position. I think the confusion comes in when we try to say, okay, where do we rank him? There's a difference. The quarterback position has been known to be the passer. Tom Brady's, the greats that we have, Tom Brady's, Peyton Manning, these have been passers. When you see somebody throwing for 22, 23, 24 times a game, we say, well, is he a great quarterback? That really means, is he a great passer? Because a quarterback can turn around, hand the ball off. Okay, anybody can do that. But passing the ball is what we rated him on. Now this new iteration comes, Randall Cunningham, Michael Vick, and now they're perfecting it. They're perfecting when they commingle that running quarterback with the passing quarterback. He's a great player, great quarterback, because that says all the things you have to do. But we can't say right now that he's one of those great passers. He's only throwing the ball 22, 23 times a game.
That's all he needs to throw.
It's only because that's the team he's on. That's the team he's on. If you put him on a team that you had to throw 45 times a game, where would he be? You see what I'm saying? So what he has and the way he plays, the team he has and what they're asking him to do, he's doing a great job of that. And he's winning Super Bowls doing that. As long as they stay right in that lane, he can continue doing this.
You know who threw the ball a lot? I don't know the exact number. But Cincinnati, they threw it a lot. You know, they was at home.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Right.
So throwing it 45 times a game is not the recipe for the success that the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, it's not the recipe for the Philadelphia Eagles.
It ain't been a recipe for nobody. Because the teams that win the Super Bowl ain't throwing it 45 times.
Well, there are a lot of teams that have been throwing the ball and winning football games throwing the ball. Key, you go back to, how do you think Tom Brady ain't never push nobody? Ain't never push. He ain't even running himself a yard. So Peyton Manning ain't never did. So that's who we're comparing him to now. Let's make sure.
No, I ain't comparing him to them.
Who we're comparing him.
I can't compare him
to great quarterbacks. Those great quarterbacks were passers.
Not yet. Can't compare him to them because his journey's not finished. His journey is still going.
Correct. But I'm just saying historically that's what we've done. We compare.
Well, we're going to change the history.
And that's what's changing.
We getting ready to change that.
We saying the same thing. You're like my wife right here. We saying the same thing. Wait, what's it? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Find our way to agree.
The thing is changing. The thing is changing. The quarterback position is changing. We're getting comfortable seeing guys run the football when that was something they never did. And in our minds, we keep getting stuck on the passer instead of the quarterback position.
I'm glad you've come around now. In your mind,
I've always said
you've been stuck on the passer. I'm glad you've come around.
Because I'm a receiver. I ain't want no running quarterback. I'll break his legs. Just throw the ball, buddy. But this
you and I both. But when the ball was in the air, it was only going to either you or me. That was it. So I didn't mind him running.
I got to accept this new.
Paul, what did Jalen Hurts prove?
He proved to me that he's not only one of the elite quarterbacks in today's game. Now, there's going to have to be some different conversations when you bring up Jalen Hurts. Like, where does he belong amongst the game's greats? He's shown me he's just a winner. He's won on every level. He's been successful everywhere he's been. So he's not only one of the great quarterbacks, he's one of the great leaders. You hear how he talks in his interviews. He's never too high, never too low. Very just calm in pressure situations, it looks like. And all year long, we talked about, Lamar and Josh, MVPs. These are guys with the MVPs. He belongs in that conversation with them because he's the only one out of those with the elite quarterbacks that we talk about that now has a Super Bowl. These MVPs are great, but, I've never been a regular season MVP. I won a finals MVP, and that's the only trophy I would ever want is the Super Bowl MVP trophy. And, we have to – hats off.
That's good, though. I got 2 guys out of the 3 on the desk that have come around. That is amazing.
He's officially
2 of the 3 on the desk.
He's officially in the big 4
Let me see what the third has to say.
I have been on Jalen Hurts' side for years.
Look at the big 4. That's my big 4.
Paul's big 4 moves around a bit. I think that's what we're all saying is we have to start evaluating and assessing the quarterback position differently. And to me, this win by Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl can serve as an official entrance
announcement
into this
quarterbacks like this can win Super Bowls.
Correct.
Because the question of can a run-first quarterback win at the highest level? We know that they can win during the regular season. We know that they can put up numbers to get MVPs. We know that they can have postseason runs. But can they actually win a Super Bowl? Well, he didn't just win the Super Bowl. He was the Super Bowl MVP, and he went toe-to-toe against the game's best, which is Patrick Mahomes.
Second time in 3 years.
For the second time in 3 years.
And outperforming second time in 3 years.
Correct. So, but this one, he leaves with a ring.
Right.
And when
I don't agree with that. Outperformed him. He didn't win the game.
Who didn't win the game?
The last
he
outperformed him.
We don't have to worry about that. The first one was old news. Let's talk about yesterday's. Let's talk about yesterday's. Because yesterday he definitely did. And to me, we've been having a hard time, and I say we as media, as fans, as coaches, as analysts, finding a way to contextualize players like Jalen Hurts who aren't putting up the Peyton Manning, Tom Brady passing numbers. So therefore, they can't be put into those elite categories with some of their peers who are putting up those numbers, but aren't necessarily getting the results. This has been a trend for a while now. We don't want the quarterback that just sits in the pocket and throws it around the yard. You want to be mobile. But then we don't want to reward mobility. We don't want to account for the rushing touchdowns. We don't want to account for the rushing yards that the quarterback brings, as if those don't count. Well, now they do. And it doesn't mean that we will look at a pass-first quarterback in a negative way. We just have to stop being pigeonholed to this box of what it's supposed to look like. Because what Jalen is saying is the truth. It doesn't matter what you want it to look like. It matters that we win the game.
Exactly.
And it wasn't just that he didn't look traditional. He looked great. He did everything that was asked of him. He threw when he needed to throw. He ran when he needed to run. They ran the ball efficiently enough to get the win, and they countered Saquon not having the game that we all expected him to have with not just any old win, a dominating performance in the biggest game of the year.
Right, and you're so great at it, and that's why you're the quarterback of this set, because you explain much better what I was trying to say. Exactly what I was trying to say.
No, that's not true.
Yes, she did.
No, Michael.
Because the reality, I should give Jalen Hurts this credit wholeheartedly. You have knocked the door down. Every other quarterback, the Michael Viggs, even Lamar Jackson, they got to the doorstep and made us say, oh, maybe you can win with a quarterback that can run like this. It was him that knocked the door down, got the Super Bowl championship. And that's what gets him in the room right now. That's a great job explaining it.
I mean, Cam Newton got there, but he didn't win it.
Right.
I mean,
a lot of guys have gotten there and got close, but they never knocked down that door.
Also,
now people are going to say, I can go look for Jalen Hurts.
But you also got to think about who's calling the plays and not getting bogged down in that particular quarterback's skill set to not change. That wasn't the case with Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, when he threw the ball to Devontae Smith, they took a shot. Simple on the sideline.
Right.
They took a shot. They said, oh, we getting ready to get this coverage. We getting ready to take a shot right now.
Right.
Opposed to turning the ball, handing it off to Saquon Barkley. That's all that is coaching. You can win with these style quarterbacks if you got the right coaches that got the right mindset to do the damn thing.
Yeah, but no one has been able to do it truly.
Right. No, they just haven't. But to me, it's not. It's never on the player. It's always on the scheme and the coach when they get there to not get so bogged down onto this is what he is. We should do it this way, opposed to unleashing him or taking off the straitjacket, so to speak.
Well, on the Chiefs side, nothing seemed to go right in the first half. Patrick Mahomes was under constant pressure and weren't even able to cross midfield on offense in the first half, netting only 23 yards of offense before Kendrick took the stage at halftime. So, Michael, what went wrong for the Chiefs last night?
Everything.
Everything. We talked about it here, that Philadelphia Eagles defense and what they did. And I told you guys, I said, hey, the only way to beat Patrick Mahomes, I don't care who you have on the back end. On defense, you got to have some dogs on the front end. That's the way the Buccaneers won that Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes. That's the way a couple years ago when we saw the Raiders beat Patrick Mahomes. You got to be able to get to Patrick Mahomes. And the Philadelphia Eagles front, they got to Patrick Mahomes. We didn't have to blitz him. We sent our guys, and our guys killed him. And I mean, literally, there were times at the game I was really concerned. There were times in the game that I was like, man, look at this. He was there and then he was gone. I've never seen Patrick Mahomes like that, right? Disappear like that. And he usually takes those little seams, little areas, step in, scoot right, scoot left, and make a play. They stayed in their lanes and they rushed as a unit. Dude, it was. I've been giving them credit all playoffs, and I wanted to go in their direction. But Patrick Mahomes' success made me afraid to do it. But they showed me that no matter what, that was a performance. That defense was one of the best defenses. That was one of the best defensive performances I've ever seen in a playoff in the history of the National Football League. The history of the National Football League.
When you talk about what went wrong, well, Michael touched up on it a little bit from the Philadelphia Eagles defensive side. The offensive front, though, just wasn't ready. They was getting pushed into his lap. They got dominated, just like if you think about the two Super Bowl losses, Michael mentioned it. The Buccaneers dominated them up front. The offensive line looked like a shell of itself. Yep. And here we are again, the same thing. Offensive line looks like a shell of himself. You can never get the quarterback comfortable if he's running around for his life. The one time he ran around, I was like, man, just slide on the ground. He was running around for, 10 seconds back there. Yeah. I'm like, man, if you don't just slide down.
He was trying to make something happen.
Yeah, but at that point, though, you hold on to the ball, what's going to happen is you're going to get hit upside your head. Right. And that's going to be a whole nother conversation for next year. So, defensively, they just dominated them. They took Kelce out of the game for the most part, and the other guys couldn't get going at all. Dick Fangio wasn't worried about them. If I can get pressure from my front, I don't need to bring anybody from the back end. The back end can just sit back there and hold things up and keep things in front of them, and that's what they were doing. And again, teams that throw the football a lot, even though he only threw it 32 times, he had 2 interceptions and a lost fumble and 6 sacks. You can't win football games throwing the ball all over the lot. I don't care who you are. It just doesn't happen.
Paul, when went wrong?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't so much about what Kansas City didn't do. I'm giving all the credit to Philly. I mean, this is the team we said who they were all year long. I remember, I think in probably week 9 or 10, we're like, this is probably the best overall team.
Well, I said that on my big list.
Yeah, this is the best overall team. And we were like, when you look back at Kansas City's season, yeah, they won a lot of games, but they was treading on thin ice all year long. And all of that caught up to them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It all caught up to them.
Caught up is a good word.
You know what I'm saying? Like the offensive line. And Patrick Mahomes kind of hid their weaknesses because they were winning. So we didn't talk about it a lot. But this team had a lot of flaws, and they're going to go into this offseason and they're going to have to revamp the team, especially up front. And I don't know what else other moves they can make. I don't know, what they can do offensively to get better. But
well, they got Rashee Rice coming back.
And that's going to help. But what Paul's talking about, and I also concur with that, is they've been taking away talent from Patrick Mahomes every year until they're looking for the bottom. Okay, what's the bottom we can hit and still get us there? I think we found the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah. This is the bottom. Every year we come in here, we talk about giving Lamar Jackson some more help, giving Jalen Hurts some more help. But we never talk about giving this man anybody. We just keep taking bodies from him and finding bodies off the scrap heap. We found the bottom now. Now you got to stop and start adding people on. Why did they not go after Saquon Barkley? Why didn't they go after Derrick Henry? Because they said, we got Patrick Mahomes. We don't need any of that. But you keep letting those other teams stack pile talent. The man can only do so much. He dragged that bunch to the Super Bowl.
He did.
I mean, he dragged that bunch.
The regular season.
Right. We kept talking about a lot of things, but he dragged that bunch.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the offensive line was a disaster. They had nothing for that defensive threat. They just looked outmatched the whole game. Starting slow really didn't concern me so much because that's pretty common for them to start slow.
But but it wasn't really slow, Joy. It was like 24-0.
Not once it got out of hand. Not once it got out of hand. The initial slow start didn't scare me. Once things started to spiral, obviously, I was on board that this is a bad situation. But, the way that the Chiefs played all season finally caught up with them. That's what it looked like to me, is that, okay, we've been giving this team, we've been giving this roster too much credit because of what Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid have been able to do all season long, winning close games. I said going into the Bills game, the Bills were going to have to do this a certain way, and into the Super Bowl that the Eagles were going to have to do this a certain way, which has completely shut this down. Not kind of go into a shootout and go toe for toe with the Kansas City Chiefs like they've done all season long. Just shut it down. Just completely dominate them. And that's what they were able to do. And the Philly defense was better than that Kansas City offensive line. And the reason they keep bringing up the Tampa Bay Chiefs Super Bowl is because that's the formula. If you want to beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, you got to get to him, and you've got to disrupt their offensive line, and that's what they were able to do. Now, obviously that one had a bit of injuries the first time around. This one just looked like a college Panera Bread State versus Michigan. Like it was just an outmatching, a complete dominance.
If you noticed, I started texting at 17-0 because I felt like it was over.
It was interesting you say that because even in the first Super Bowl, it worked out all year.
For the first time all season, Key texting mid-game has worked out.
Yeah, because you can feel it, though. You can just see it. You can just see it. It didn't. You can look at his eyes.
Because everyone was really waiting for that one moment for Kansas City to have that over-the-top play, that one big play to get them back in it, to change the momentum around, and it never happened.
I swear I watched this game, and it made me think about when we were going for the three-peat, and the way we started that game against San Francisco. It was almost like, and I have to admit it now, that we buy too much into the pressure of trying to three-peat.
Yeah.
You see, because we came out, turned the ball over. We were down 21-0 like that. I was like, man, what's going on? And I felt the same thing with them. And then you're pressing. Oh, my God, we're just slipping away. And no matter what you do to press, that front four wasn't letting it go down. You know, and it was complete domination.
And the turnovers were a disaster.
You know, they got a couple full beards on that D-line, too.
Well, I mean, no, they were serious.
No lineups with a car seat in the back.
Yeah, full beards.
That was serious.
They getting the lineup after yesterday, though.
Speaking of lineups, did we see Travis Kelce's last game yesterday?
I don't think so. What you saw was a guy who, to me, needs to take some time off, reevaluate where he is in his career, and go from there. But I don't think you've seen the last of it because nobody goes out this way. They just don't. We're making it sound like he's the 25th best tight end in the league based on what we saw this year. That's not what that is. That's just a guy who's gotten a little older and is not what we saw 6 years ago.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
He's being compared to himself.
He's getting compared to himself. That's the only thing.
But I think it's a lot more things that he's encountered also that takes away from what he does on the football field. You only have so much brain equity.
Yeah.
And you can put as much as you need on the football field, but now you have all of these other things that are going on off the football field, and those things have a demand upon your time in your brain equity. And I love Travis Kelce more than any other player in the National Football League. I mean, he's a great dude since I coached him in the Pro Bowl when he said, make sure you draft me. And he took my son, so I will always love him just for the man he is. But he looked tired. At the end of the last 2 seasons, he looked worn out, like I'm beat. And I don't know that it's his last time seeing him, and I hope not because of what we're talking about, the way they go out. But somehow, somewhere, and I didn't think it was possible when Chan Gailey tried it with me umpteen years ago, you got to try to save him for the playoffs. You got to try to save him for that moment. I don't say you let him go because what he does, you can't just go find another tight end to do it.
Mason Taylor.
That kind of harmonious relationship with Patrick Mahomes and reading defenses. So you got to try to find a way to keep him fresh. I don't know, let him go through a few concerts and miss a few games or something and not worry about it.
I don't want him going. I don't want him going to concerts.
Just keep him rested.
Yeah, not even keep him rested. Look, this is post-Super Bowl. He didn't have a great game. His season wasn't the best season of his career.
Yeah.
And over the last 2 years, he's gotten into a public relationship, and we've seen him on tour, and we've seen him flying around and doing a lot of stuff like you mentioned, Michael. Maybe he's not lifting weights as hard as he once was. That's just human nature. I mean,
so much time you got.
It's only so much time.
Right.
You know, them 10 reps, you might stop at 6, but you not get the other 4 because I got to get the flight on its way out. I got to go.
No,
well, I mean, he has a lot.
They're not on the flight time. They are making the time.
No, I understand. No, I
so
get
he
that.
can get them last 4 reps. Taylor Swift ain't gonna leave him.
No,
and that plane ain't take it off.
There are a lot of things going on with Travis Kelce. It's not, not just his public relationship. I mean, he's become a crossover star. I mean, he has shows, he has the podcast, he has a lot of things going on. To your point, there's only so much in a day. I don't think any of us care about what you have going on. Like, you should be growing your brand. You should be preparing yourself for life after the game. But if they win, no one's critical of this. But when you don't, then everybody has
looking and seeing.
Everyone starts paying closer attention. Do you think it's the last game for Travis Kelce?
That's a good question because I mean, when you look at him, his legacy is set.
Yes.
I mean, he looks like a step slow this year than in the past. I mean, he looks like a guy that's been to like 3 straight Super Bowls. I mean, he looked that way. I mean, it looked hard on him, and he's going to go down already. Look what he's already accomplished. He's going to go down as one of the best, if not the best tight end ever.
Right.
It's like, you know, when he goes home this year and take a look back, sit on his couch, he going to contemplate this. I really, truly believe he can just be like, you know what, I had a great career. I'm going to save my body for my life after sports. What more does he have to prove? So I can see in a world there where he probably might hang it up.
Yeah, but I heard Tom Brady talk about it, and I've said it myself. You know, I don't care how many you win. You live on the ones you didn't win, especially when you get to that game, you know. And maybe had he won that 3-peat, he would happily walk away and say, out of here.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I get money I'm doing over there, it's just as good as money here, and I got to take these pain. But walking away like that after that game, that might be something different.
Yeah, I think he has one more year in him.
Yeah.
I think he has one more year. He has 1 year left on his deal. It'll be his 13th season, and that's a tough way to to go out. To Paul, to your point, he doesn't know the game anything. He's going to be an instant Hall of Famer. He's already.
But I'm trying to keep him
probably
from
gonna make
retiring.
more money after football than he did playing.
Yeah,
Right,
but you only have one
it's
chapter.
Right, but for me, it's not just about Travis Kelce. I'm talking about if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm trying to find, and I know they think they may have found, I'm trying to find that other dude. I got to keep him, so I got to keep him for whoever I bring in. I want him to teach them what he knows, how he plays with Patrick Mahomes. I want to give him another year or two just for that.
I mean, you got to think of it this way, Joy. Andy Reid said he's coming back for 2025 season, 2025-26.
Yeah.
The whole group will.
So the whole group will.
One more go with the group. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.